Tennessee Life is supported through the financial support of viewers like you. Thank you. Coming up on this edition of Tennessee Life, spend the day at Anakeesta, a Gatlinburg adventure park that immerses you in nature's beauty.
Everything we've done here is very focused on being in the mountains. I don't care if it's the views or the food that we serve or the activities that we have. Everything's focused on having fun here in the outdoors in East Tennessee.
Meet Tom Boyd, a Tennessee businessman with a magical idea and a book that inspired an ancient village where you can unplug and unwind.
Well, when I come here, I can feel the characters walk around upstairs. That's the difference when you write the book. Every one of these rooms I walk in, I see one of the characters. I see them as I wrote them. And other than that, I just turn around and say, be quiet, I'm sitting here reading.
Discover South Knoxville and how it's revitalizing itself by embracing natural beauty with the urban wilderness.
South Knoxville has rugged ridges. They had parks. They had the waterfront. You know, we don't think of our waterfront in the way that other cities do, but we have a river through the heart of our city. And so I think it was seeing it differently, using it differently, and then you had people moving in who thought of it differently.
Those stories next on Tennessee Life.
Thanks for joining us for this outdoor edition of Tennessee Life. I'm Vicki Lawson. The summer season can get hectic in Gatlinburg, so Bob Bentz created a place for you and the family to slow it all down. We head to the top of the Smokies to see what makes Anakeesta a great getaway.
See, I've traveled all over the world, and you know, these mountains, first off, are spectacular. You come here to the Great Smoky Mountains and you hang out by a small stream or river, take a walk in the woods, and I don't care how much stress you're under, you know, it just relieves that stress. To me, it's the most beautiful place in the world. It's very, very special. My name is Bob Bentz, and I am the managing partner for Anakeesta. Basically, I'm the developer, primary owner of Anakeesta. I was born in Miami and raised in Miami. However, I never spent a summer in Florida. All my summers were here in Gatlinburg. My parents purchased a lot here in Gatlinburg, actually on this mountain. Who would know that 40 years later, in 2011, we would strike a deal to acquire 55 acres to become what is today Anakeesta. The name Anakeesta means place of high ridges or high balsams, and it's actually a real Cherokee Indian word. Comes out of the Great Smoky Mountains. There's actually Anakeesta rock formations here in the park. And our whole mission statement here at Anakeesta is to take our guests of all ages and have them have fun with the mountains, immerse them in the outdoors. Even though we probably classify it as a theme park, we'd like to consider ourselves a family outdoor adventure park. What we really wanted to do was create an authentic Smoky Mountain experience. I mean, when you come to Sevier County, there's a lot of crazy attractions that have nothing at all to do with the mountains. We wanted something that was, again, very authentic, very, very real to the visitors. And again, we wanted it to be, you know, multi-generational. We wanted everybody to come and everybody to have fun and have an active experience in the mountains. In 2016, in November, we finally acquired our financing, and literally 2 weeks later, the infamous chimney top fires ravaged Gatlinburg, came through, and it pretty much burned every inch of Anakeesta to some degree. And we began construction in January, and in September, Labor Day weekend of 2017, we opened up what today is Anakeesta. You know, I wouldn't recommend building an adventure park at the top of a mountain. I mean, it's a challenge. But at the same time, of course, it gives us these spectacular views that we have here of the Great Smoky Mountains and creates a very, very unique environment. We have a couple of acres in downtown Gatlinburg where our Chondala, or our base station, is located, and it brings you to the top of the mountain. And when people are standing down there in downtown Gatlinburg, they look up and they go, well, really, what's up there? Because nobody really knows or understands. And then when they get up here, like, oh my God, wow, this is so cool. And the first thing we developed in 2017 was the first village, Firefly Village. It's about 9 small buildings. There are retail shops. We have the smokehouse, which is the barbecue restaurant. We have, of course, restroom facilities, ice cream shop. We also have access to our first mountain coaster, which is called the Rail Runner. It's the only single rail mountain coaster in the United States. Moving on beyond that, we come to a second village, which we call Black Bear Village. Black Bear Village is the home of our main restaurant here at Anakeesta called Clifftop, which has been named after Clifftop up at Mount LeConte, where you watch the sunset. And it's a beautiful restaurant. It's focused right on Mount LeConte, so it's a great place to have a nice meal in an air-conditioned environment looking at the beautiful Great Smoky Mountains. So it's a really, really cool restaurant. And next to it is another small restaurant. We have a bar there. We have an outdoor fire pit. There's a bandstand there with an outdoor plaza area. It's a really, really neat special place. We have a splash pad for kids, a water fountain feature, all within the Black Bear Village area. Moving beyond that, come to my favorite area at Anakeesta, which is really where we are now, which is called Vista Gardens. And about a year and a half after we initially opened Anakeesta, we came up with the concept of creating a garden up here on top of the mountain. I'm a landscape architect, and so is my wife, so it was a natural element for us to create here on top of Anakeesta. It's an ever-growing and expanding portion of the park. It is anchored on top of the mountain by the Anakeesta Tower. About a year or two into it, we wanted a nice centerpiece for the garden. And we thought, what better centerpiece than an observation tower? So I went through a number of your traditional fire tower designs, observation tower designs, so what's going to look good in the garden? And finally decided that, it's not just an observation tower, it's actually a sculptural element for the garden, and it needs to fit into the garden. And the garden is all about the flowers, it's all about the plants, it's all about the Great Smoky Mountains. And so I developed a concept where I got inspired by a flower and the way the petals of the flower open up. It's also made of about 65-foot long glue lamps. There are 8 of them. And they're all set on the 8 cardinal points of a compass. So they all point north, south, east, west, northeast, southeast, etc. So they're lined up with a compass, and it gives you an incredible 360-degree view of the mountains. On one side, you're looking towards Mount LeConte, and on the other side, you're looking towards Knoxville, Pigeon Forge, Sevierville area. So it's got a spectacular view from the top of the tower, and it's very symbolic to the garden itself. I joke that we're just still a toddler here at Anakeesta, and we've grown so much and done so many expansions. And our largest expansion is really yet to come, and it is a Lumina Walk. So the question is, well, what is a Lumina Walk? We have created a mile-long trail here on top of the mountain in the forest at Anakeesta, and it is a nighttime experience. So you walk on this trail at night in the woods, in the dark, and the Lumina part of it is we actually light up the forest. They have these Lumina Walks in Canada, they have them in Asia, I know there's in Singapore and throughout China and Japan. They have them in Europe. This is going to be the first Lumina Walk here in the United States, and guess what, it's here at Anakeesta. So it's super exciting for us. We have things to do for everybody, no matter if you're 2 or you're 92 years old, there's activities for everyone here at Anakeesta. If you want to, like I said, sit in a chair, have something to eat, have a nice meal, or do some shopping, we have that here. If you are an adventurous person, we've got tons of things for you to do. We've got tree adventure, we got bear adventure, we got our treehouse playground, soon to be our bird venture. We're going to have 2 mountain coasters for you, and of course we have our zip lines, and finally we have our tree canopy walk. So we have so many things to do for people of all ages, and you can set your own level of activity that you would like to do and how much fun you want to have here at Anakeesta. And I think what makes us, also special and unique is, we're very family oriented. You can do these things as a family and enjoy them together. It isn't like you're on an individual ride that only I can enjoy. These are family elements that I think everybody can enjoy together here at Anakeesta. My wife and I both, when we were in college, we wanted to be national park rangers. And I actually worked here in the Great Smoky Mountains as an interpreter, and my wife actually worked as the campground ranger here in the Great Smoky Mountains. And that was originally what we wanted to do as a career. Our career certainly took a different path, but we find ourselves back in the mountains. I'm doing our own little park version here. We don't think you could just pick this up and put it somewhere else. Everything we've done here is very focused on being in the mountains. I don't care if it's the views or the food that we serve or the activities that we have. Everything's focused on having fun here in the outdoors in East Tennessee. When you talk to somebody and they're like, oh my God, where'd you come up with this idea? This is fantastic. I can't believe it's up here. And that is, I think that is a huge reward for myself to hear that from our guests, because sometimes I get zeroed in on, working on a new design for something, and I forget the big picture, If you look at our whole career, or my whole career, I think it's all been focused on having an opportunity to be here in Gatlinburg and doing Anakeesta at this point in my life. And I'm excited about that, and it's been a great vision, it's been a great journey, and we're not done yet.
Later on Tennessee Life, the urban wilderness is hiking, biking, swimming, and nature.
Looking right there, there were already 10 city parks. There were 3 Civil War forts. There was Iams Nature Center. There were schools. There were neighborhoods. There were a 500-acre wildlife management area, really, again, in the heart of a city. So all of those assets were really there.
But first, ancient lore inspires a Bobbins retreat.
Have you ever wanted to stay in a magical place with leprechauns and yetis? Well, now you can. All thanks to Tom Boyd and his vision for Ancient Lore Village.
Main question I always get is, why did I come up with this idea? Where did it originate? What was my background that made me ever decide to build something like this, or even knew how? Well, the answer to the first one, I didn't know how, but I had a dream of how to make the world a little bit better, or at least I thought I have. I'm Tom Boyd. I guess you'd call me a local entrepreneur, or whatever you want to call me, because I've been called everything. My son was running for governor, and I was out on the campaign trail. Can't tell you how many small restaurants and small towns I stopped in, but all I heard was hatred. By nature, I like people, and I couldn't understand where all this hatred was coming from. So when the campaign was over, I wanted to write a book and tried to interpret what all this anger was about. So I had to have a set of characters for the message I wanted to get across. And that message that all people of all races, of all colors, if they would simply talk to each other and be friends, but you had to have a place to do that to start with. And so our goal was to get a few at a time here in this village to learn there is a better way to live. And I think we did that. Everybody visits this village, comes back, because they never get a place to be so peaceful. And we will tell you point blank, if you come here for any other reason, don't come. We don't even want you as a guest. If you want to come here and want to be in an argument of some sort, we want you to sit outside, talk to each other, feel good. Even when you stay here, we give you a little card. If somebody else is here, we ask you to be neighborly, open your door, invite them in, because everybody wants to see these rooms.
We're located minutes from downtown Knoxville in East Tennessee, and we are a luxury event venue and boutique resort. We can house up to 22 people overnight, and we specialize in fairy tale weddings, micro weddings, corporate retreats, holiday parties, anniversary parties, baby showers, all sorts of different private events. And if you're not throwing a party, we throw our own. So we have our own signature events and things that we let the public come in and kind of experience all of the wonder and mystery and magic of Ancient Lore Village. You may wander over to what we call the Boulders, which is a beautiful area high atop Boyd Hollow Falls. Boyd Hollow Falls is a 40-foot tall man-made waterfall that was built by Tom Boyd. And the top there, the boulders are actually natural boulders that were excavated out of the land, made into this beautiful, what we call the wine patio. It's one of my favorite places at the village. As you read the book, you realize that part of the book tells you about the waterfall that's coming right out of the side of the mountain. So rather than really telling you about the book, we just built it. Progress a little bit further into the village and you come across Bokey's Bungalow, which is our featured bungalow here, our featured dwelling. It's 1,600 square feet. It has 2 private bedrooms, can sleep up to 8 people. It has a private dining area and 3 full bathrooms. So it's great for like 2 families or multiple couples. We sometimes have those bachelor or bachelorette parties here, or that girls' weekend, so we can do a lot of different things. Then you come into the village gardens, and this is where all of the characters live together in harmony. So you see the gremlin dens, which is a pair of king adjoining rooms. We have the Orc Home, which has really high ceilings. Then you come on to the Fairy Cottage, which is a very magical place. It even has the crown above the bed and a sparkling fireplace. Even the door to the Fairy Cottage glistens as you walk into it. Then we have the Leprechaun Lair, which you might find a little leprechaun hanging out in there. And my favorite dwelling is the Waterfall Villa. Specifically designed, it has a king bed and a pull-out sleeper sofa, and it's right across from the Village Gardens. Then we also have the Yeti Cave. Sometimes it's turned into a cigar and whiskey tasting bar. Sometimes it's a sit-down area where you can have a private function. The Yeti came in and he just blew the roof off it. So the sides of the Yeti Cave are there, but you're very much still in the natural beauty of the foothills of the Smokies. Once you kind of meander back into the woods and up to the Woodland Terrace, you have our axe and archery range. So there's all sorts of different fun activities to do here. We also have great hiking trails. So there's miles of hiking trails here. You can explore the woods, and sometimes you might even see a deer or a turkey when you're on the trails.
I love to help entrepreneurs. So in building this, we made an effort to reach out to anybody can do anything here that's local. Everything we try to do is local. The doors you see here is made by a Seth Rowland here. We gave him the contract to build the doors. We build villages anywhere else, he'll build the doors. Now what that does, that creates employment in Knoxville. That creates great incomes for people. So this village would provide a lot of jobs outside here. We want them to come here and tell their friends that I've found a place. You should come, because I feel better today than I did yesterday. My thoughts are better than they were yesterday. I saw I didn't have to be in this mad rush in life. I can slow down. I can be with my kids. I can have fun without a blasting TV or a computer sitting by my side. There is a better way to live. And if we can just train a few people that, who knows, they may be missionaries and go out and train more. That's our ultimate goal. Well, when I come here, I can feel the characters walking around upstairs. That's the difference when you write the book. Every one of these rooms I walk in, I see one of the characters. I see them as I wrote them. And other than that, I just turn around and say, be quiet, I'm sitting here reading.
You don't have to go far in Tennessee to find adventure. Since the development of South Knoxville's urban wilderness, the excitement of the great outdoors is closer to you than ever before.
I think what's perfect about their urban wilderness is that it offers a bite-sized experience. So you can stop on your way home and go out for an hour or 2 hours and feel really comfortable doing that because you're kind of in that urban environment there. But it also has the ability to service everybody from beginners to very, very experienced hikers, bikers, and runners. I'm Carol Evans with Legacy Parks Foundation. I'm the executive director. Well, the urban wilderness is really sort of a unique outdoor destination in the heart of a city. And it is unique in that the urban wilderness really is a series of different parks connected by trails. It has almost a unique variety of experiences, in a compact area. The urban wilderness came out of the acquisition of one piece of property on South Knoxville's waterfront, and it was what's called the River Bluff Park property on Cherokee Trail. And in looking, Legacy Parks set out to purchase it. And in the process of deciding, gosh, why would people give us money for this? I rolled out a map and realized how green South Knoxville was and how this one particular piece of property sat right in the heart of all of that. So we defined the urban wilderness really as the area from Alcoa Highway to the head of the Tennessee River. Looking right there were already 10 city parks, there were 3 Civil War forts, there was Iams Nature Center, there were schools, there were neighborhoods, there were a 500-acre wildlife management area, really, again, in the heart of a city. So all of those assets were really there. We just set about connecting them and accessing them and helping people understand what was over there, which at the time South Knoxville was considered a whole separate area. You didn't go to South Knoxville, and 99% of the donors didn't live in South Knoxville. So we decided this is a real community asset. There are multiple parks or large areas of land in the urban wilderness, and all of them have a little slightly bit uniquely different characteristic. And that's what I love about it, is everyone can experience something slightly differently over there, and you can enter a lot of different places. So the center of the urban wilderness is IAMS Nature Center, 300 plus acres. And we actually added about 100 acres during this process. So 2 quarries, swimming, river access at IAMS, a lot of trails, a couple of hiking-only trails, pedestrian-only trails over there as well. So then you've got the close to 500 acres of Forks of the River Wildlife Management Area. It's beautiful. It's probably feels more farm-like. There's a perimeter trail that runs the boundary of that whole piece of property. So again, you can be on the river, and it has a paved greenway. So the Will Skelton Greenway travels from Island Home Park through part of IAMS, and then the perimeter of Forks of the River Wildlife Management Area. So you can hike or walk on trail or greenway in that area. What is probably most known for is the sunflowers. So every other year, TWRA plants fields and fields and fields of sunflowers. Just beautiful, beautiful 10 days where you can go there and stroll through the sunflowers. You cross the street from Burnett Creek and you get into a lot of private land. So you'll see this sort of dense spaghetti network of trails because they wanted to build a lot of trails. So you get lots of opportunities for combinations of hiking or biking, kind of heavy forested over there. And you continue and you'll get into William Hasty Natural Area, and it probably has the most abundance of wildflowers. So that's a great wildflower hike over there. Very forested, rolling hills up in there, a little craggy. Then you'll continue and loop back into the backside of Marie Myers, which is another small park. And now you've looped back into IAMS. So you're on the backside of IAMS, which has the crag, which is a climbing area. And then you work your way sort of to the front where the big Quarry Lake is, where you can do paddleboarding, kayaking. They have a swimming area there. So you can make this big loop and head your way over to Baker Creek Preserve. And Baker Creek Preserve is 100 acres, but is probably now most known as much more of a mountain biking destination. Large bike skills area called the Pump Track, and you can just hone your skills. It's like I would say it's like a playground for mountain bikers over there. The first area, we have a few dedicated downhill mountain bike trails there. So mountain biking only on a couple of those trails, but the rest of them are multi-use. A double black diamond trail right next to a beginner trail. So it really is, it's an area for everyone. And then right across the street, we put in some playground, and there's some more playground and skills. And then you work your way to what is called the Gateway Park, which is still under construction, but it is a parking area and really is designed, it's the end of the James White Parkway that will be converted into parking and facilities, so you can kind of begin your adventure there at the Gateway Park. I always like to say now we have a little swagger about being an outdoor town. We do. And you know, I think my background was marketing, and I do think a lot of it is just creating the brand and creating the experience. Those assets were here, but we didn't use them well, I think, and we didn't think about them in the way that we do now, and taking full advantage of them. There was a bit of a shift, I think, in people appreciating lifestyle and kind of choosing lifestyle. I always like to say, like, I was raised to my generation, you went to college, you look for a job, and you moved to where that job was. But that changed, and you had people entering the job market that wanted to decide where they wanted to live, and then look for the job there. And so that combination of it, we began sort of a snowball rolling down the hill of developing more livable assets, and then people deciding that's what they wanted and talking about it. And I don't want to say, if you build it, they will come, but that did happen in South Knoxville. I think why it works is it's very authentic. It really is what was there. South Knoxville has rugged ridges. They had parks. They had the waterfront. You know, we don't think of our waterfront in the way that other cities do, but we have a river through the heart of our city. And so I think it was seeing it differently, using it differently, and then you had people moving in who thought of it differently. So it was very authentic growth. It wasn't sort of pre-designed, and the people who chose to live there were living there because they wanted that lifestyle. You know, we'll have people say, oh, I don't know how to hike. And it's like, well, it's left foot, right foot. Like, don't be intimidated by the outdoors. Don't. You grew up as a kid playing outside. It's just playing. And we have a bumper sticker that just says, get out and play. And that's really what you ought to think about it. You don't have to have a lot of gear. You don't have to have all the stuff. It's just playing in the woods like you did as a kid. And for us at Legacy Parks, outdoor recreation is our back doorway to conservation. So we're at heart a conservation organization. And we see that. We see when people get out and use something and experience it, they value it. Because we have those assets here, we should work hard to make sure that everyone gets to enjoy them.
Get out there and enjoy the sunshine. I'm Vicki Lawson. See you on the next Tennessee Live.
We want to hear about your Tennessee life. If you know of a person or story you would like to see featured on this program, please write to the address on the screen.